Hi, you have tuned in to the Raging Aggron channel, and I'm your host, Djingis, and I'm here with our second draft recap of the Pokemon Seasonal League Summer Conference. And I'm here with the rest of the 12 teams. We did 6 teams in the previous video, go and watch that one if you have not done that yet. And then we have 6 teams in this one. And I'm gonna go through the teams, speak my mind about the teams, and that would be the video. I noticed that the last video was maybe a tad bit long, so I will try and make this one a bit shorter. But it will be around half an hour, because I will have to talk at least 5 minutes about every team to get all of my ideas out there, and why I like the teams and why I don't like teams and so forth. So without further ado, let's go into our first team. The Victoria Victinis, coached by Zombie, a returning coach from Season 2, and he has Tapu Koko, Ferrothorn, Donphan, Kyurem, Persian, Alolan Persian, Masquerain, Mega Beedrill, Mew, Hawlucha, Vaporeon, Snorlax, and Stunfisk. Kokolucha with Mega Beedrill, having Kyurem as well on the team, then having the defensive core of Mew with Vaporeon, Snorlax, Ferrothorn, Donphan. That's just nasty. And then have the support in Persian Alolan Persian, and Masquerain. And then a meme pick in Stunfisk. I mean, you can afford to have a meme pick in Stunfisk if you have the rest of the team. Like, this is one of the best teams that is drafted, in my opinion, in both conferences. Like, it's up there in the top 5 best teams, together with Dave's team from the last episode. It has everything, really. It might be a bit frail if you get up rocks versus this team. Like, Tapu Koko likes to switch in and out a lot, so it doesn't appreciate rocks. Kyurem doesn't appreciate rocks. Masquerain and Mega Beedrill doesn't. So it could be a very easy way to tear down this team, but when you have Mew that can learn Defog, and you have Tapu Koko with Defog, and you have some other monsters with Defog like Beedrill and blah 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 blah, you are pretty set free from the rocks. The rocks won't be a big problem for this team. It has a very good offensive course, like I said, with Kokolucha and Mega Beedrill, a very decent defensive core with Ferrothorn, Donphan, Vaporeon, Snorlax, so you can really do a lot of things here. And it also allows things like Ferrothorn, Donphan, Mew, and Snorlax to be more offensive. It also allows for things like Specs Vaporeon, might be a very good thing for this team. So thanks to the difference in roles on the team for the different mons, it actually will set free a lot of hidden potential with certain Pokemons. Offensive Vaporeon is really good. It can be very nice on this team because of the Water Stab. Snorlax is really nice on this team from both an offensive and defensive point of view. So you have some really good options there. I like the Sticker Web option with Masquerain, if I'm not... Yeah, it gets Sticker Web, so I really like that option with Masquerain. Because that stops Scarfers from threatening this team at all. And thanks to Ferrothorn and Snorlax, you kind of stop people to run Trick Room versus you as well. So that's a really good one. And then you have monsters like Kyurem that can be Kyurem and Mew, especially Kyurem and Mew, that can be both offensively and defensively, that can just fit in very nicely in certain matchups. So it's a very good team overall. I don't really have a lot to say otherwise on this team. It's one of the best teams in the league, and it should be top 5 teams come the end of the season. Only thing that I'm a bit concerned about is that rock and fire weakness that we can see on the team. But Snorlax and Vaporeon should be able to deal with that, and then you have Defog on Mew and Defog on Tapu Koko, Rapid on Donphan, so you should be fine. But just looking at the team, that is a big problem. But at the same time, you should be fine, so don't worry too much about that. That's like the... how should I put it? It's like you'll always have a weakness on a team, and rocks and fire and ice isn't that big of a problem when you have Vaporeon and Snorlax on the team, and you also have good defoggers and good spinners, so you're completely fine with the team you have, and it's one of the best built team in the draft. Going into our second team of this video is Baltimore Zapdos with Coach Hacker. Hacker is a Season 1 veteran of this league, and for this season he changed from the Clemson Torracats Rest in peace, mates. Kazutora Cats should be here, Tacker. Why are they not here? Answer me that, please. But it's a nice team. I really like it. I can't say too much about the monster drafted. It's very nice, very good together. Escadrille, Starmie, Whimsicott, Braviary, Piloswine, Substrika, Megalopony, Tyranitar, Gengar, Stoutland, Quagsire, and Tyrantrum. Only thing to say about this team before I take all the good things. Why is mons like Gengar and Whimsicott, Starmie even, on a sand team? I can't see that working out, because Starmie and Whimsicott will, well, maybe not so much Starmie, but Whimsicott will lose a lot of health and lose a lot of recovery because of the sandstorm. Gengar will lose a lot of health, and you don't want Gengar to lose a lot of health because it can only take one hit. Then you have mons like Braviary who doesn't like the sand to begin with, and it's just getting even like why? But then you see that you have Escadrille, Tyranitar, Stoutland, and Tyrantrum in sand. That's pretty scary, even if Tyrantrum doesn't really get any boost from it. It's still a very scary amount to face, and seeing it in sand actually makes it sound more threatening than it would otherwise, even if it doesn't really abuse the sand. And it's a great dragon on this team. Biggest problem for this team? Fighting weakness. Escadrille, Piloswine, Megalopony, Tyranitar, Stoutland, and Tyrantrum, and you only have two resistances and one immunity in Gengar, Starmie, and Whimsicott. Whimsicott doesn't really like to take too many fighting moves. Most fighting type mons get some form of coverage for Gengar, and Starmie can take 1 or 2 hits, but it doesn't really want to take too many as well. So you have a big fighting weakness. You also have a big earthquake weakness, which only Whimsicott and Braviary can really help you with. Quagsire, of course, as well. But you put a lot of defense pressure on Whimsicott, and Whimsicott is a support mon, so I don't think this will work that well. If sand disappears from this team, it might be better off, but at the same time it will stop mons like Escadrille and Stoutland from actually doing what it has to do on the team. So I don't really know how to go around the team. That's the big problem that I see, is that a lot of the team doesn't really like sand, and if sand disappears, the team doesn't really like to be without sand. So it's a bit of a paradigm, a bit of a paradox. You can't have one without the other, and you need both for the team, but the team doesn't really like any of it. So what are you gonna do? I don't know, that's up to Hack to decide when the team builds. It's a good team overall. If you just look at the team, it's very scary to face. You never want to face Escadrille, Megalopony, and Tyranitar on the same team, especially not supported by Tyrantrum. And then you have a very good wall in Quagsire that can soak up hits for the rest of the team and help it out. So yeah, it's a good team, and I hope you do well with it, but I'm a bit concerned about the sandstorm problem, as I mentioned in about 3 minutes of talking. I don't think I have anything else to say. It might be the speeders, but since it is a sand team, it doesn't really matter. And we also have a Prankster mon, so that's completely fine. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Next team is... No, that's not their next team. Oh, once... Whew, sorry guys. Next up is New England Pidgeots, with Coach TJ returning for the 3rd straight season. And it was unsure almost until the last month and last weeks if he was going to join. But he did, and I'm really glad he did, because it's a nice guy to have around. And he's a really good battler, has a really good team this time around. Even if it has some different picks that I don't like. That I will talk about, of course. But he has the Blacephalon, Scizor, Alolan Muck, Mienshao, Lycanroc, Palossand, Mega Altaria, Zapdos, Celebi, Alomomola, Dewgong, and Zangoose. Blacephalon Scizor is a great core to build around. Also having the support in Mega Altaria and Zapdos makes this team perfect, and then also having the Wish in Alomomola makes this team really, really good. It has a lot of longevity, it has a lot of priority as well. It can be very fast and very slow, it can be bulk, it can be hyper offense. It can do a lot of things, and I like the possibilities with this team. The 3 picks that I don't agree on this team, that I don't like at all, is Pelosand, Djugong, and Zangoose. I think you could have gotten better mons, but that might have meant that you would have to sacrifice drafting Mienshao or Lysanroc. But for me, I would have done that sacrifice to get better tier 5 mons in Pelosand, Djugong, and Zangoose. Zangoose might be tier 4, I don't really remember. Outside, besides that, I mean, it's a very good team. It's very scary to have to deal with. It doesn't really have any big weaknesses. The only weakness that I can see that might be a bit of a problem is EQ. EQ together with Stealth Rocks can be a bit of a problem for this team, since Blacephalon doesn't really like Stealth Rocks. Megaltar before Mega Evolving doesn't really like them. Zapdos doesn't really like them at all. Djugong takes also very bad from them. So I mean, Scizor is neutral on them, but so it doesn't really matter too much. But it can take enough hits if it has to switch in repeatedly on Stealth Rocks. But you do have a pretty decent defogger in Scizor and Altaria, and a very good one in Zapdos. I think Celebi might get defog. It does not, okay. So you have some defoggers that can be good and that will help you a lot. On the other hand, you don't have a very good rock setter. Lysanroc and Pelosand won't be brought that often in my opinion, so you won't have rocks most of the time. And as you can see, Mega Scizor doesn't get Stealth Rocks. If it did, it would be way better than it is. But it's a good team, this. I've touched on a couple of things. We also have the speed problem, in my opinion. This team has a slight speed problem. 107, 65 with priority, of course, but then 50 with priority, 105, 112, 35, 80, 100, 100, of course, 65, 70, and 80, I think 90. So you have a bit of a gap between the 65 in Scizor and the 90 in Zangoose, with only one mon being in between there. I think it might be 2. Yeah, okay. You have Djugong at 70, and you have Megaltaria at 80. That's about it. The rest of the team is higher or lower than Scizor, so you have a big gap that would make it very hard for you to face Scarfers. You will have to scarf things like Mienshao, things like Blacephalon, things like Celebi, things like Zapdos, just to be sure that you can outspeed the base 80 Scarfers. And that's a bit of a problem for any team. You want some mons, some offensive mons in the between the 78 and 93, 95. Yeah, between 78 and 95 in speed, just so you can have a good chunk of Scarfers that can outspeed a lot of mons. And this team lacks that a lot. You have a DD set in Altaria, of course, you have some other setup mons, but you will have to rely on Scarfers a lot to outspeed other Scarfers, and that's a bit of a problem. Especially since you don't have a lot of rocks options to set them up, which means that you can't really... It would be more or less for free for the opponent to get in his Scarfers and switch out and do whatever he wants to, and do Scarf shenanigans. And that's pretty bad. That's not good to have. Offensively, this team is really, really good. Between Blacephalon, Scizor, Mienshao, Zapdos, Megaltaria, it's a very good offensive team. I like it a lot, but I think someone might be forced to be defensive more than offensive, and I also have a feeling that you might have a way bigger problem with rocks than you might think at first. Other than that, I don't think I have too much to add on this team. It's a really nice team to look at. Like, it's... When you look at it, you actually can see that they play well together, minus Pelosand, Djugong, Zangoose, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's good, it has a lot of utility, but you lack just that last bit of offensive pressure on this team, in my opinion, that really throws this team over the edge and becomes better and better and better. I hope you can prove me wrong, but it might be a playoff contending team, but it might have a very hard time to make the playoffs. Next up, we have the Munich Miltanks and returning coach Lord. She's our Season 1 veteran, our German baby, our own our very own Hitler. And he has Manaphy, Chansey, Galvantula, Bronzong, Ditto, Regigigas, Mega Charizard X, Crocodile, Superior, Togekiss, Lucario, and Shedinja. I'm sorry to say this, Lords, but this is the team that I ranked in the bottom. This was in my opinion, the worst drafted team in the competition. When we did PRs. And even if the PRs aren't out, I'm just gonna say it here, Lars. I'm really sorry for that. But I actually did, because I think this team is way too weak to see different things, and it doesn't have any synergy whatsoever outside of Manaphy, Charizard, Crocodile, and Sarp. Outside of those four, you don't have any synergy. You're very rock weak. You don't have a good way to get rid of rocks outside of Togekiss. You don't have a really good rock set outside of Bronzong and Chansey, and I mean Chansey will be forced to run Stealth Rocks a lot, and that might hinder Chansey to be really good on this team. It might also be that Bronzong has to be rocks just because you want to use Chansey in a specific way, and that might hinder Bronzong a lot. You also have a big fighting weakness with Chansey, Bronzong, Ditto, even if it doesn't really count, but you know what I mean. Regigigas, Crocodile, Lucario as well, and I know that you traded Lucario, but at the same time, like rock fighting, and ice, it's like that will destroy your whole team, and those are just 3 types. That's not good, mate. That's not good at all. I hope you can work around it, but you have a big fighting weakness, and if Togekiss drops, you can't really deal with it. You really can't, and that's a big problem. And I just can't see Regigigas working on this team. It just adds a fighting weakness. Even if it has very good stats, it has slow start, which makes it more or less useless in Draft League format, because you have to wait 5 turns, and it's very rarely that you can stay in for 5 full turns in a Draft League format, especially in a very stacked league like this is, of more normal players, so to speak. We are all on a very on the same terms, more or less, when it comes to battling skills. And then Regigigas staying in for 5 turns is more or less impossible to get. So yeah, I'm no fan of this team at all. It's just way too much around it that makes it bad, in my opinion. Charizard, Crocodile Superior will help you a lot in a lot of games. Manaphy is a great one to have, but I can't see this team I can't see it going well for this team. And it sucks to say, because I like the team, and I like each individual Pokemon in the team very well, minus Shedinja. I'm no fan of Shedinja, but the rest of the team is pretty nice. But I just can't see them work together at all. It's like, I want this Pokemon, I want this Pokemon, I want this Pokemon, and then you have 3 months with great synergy, and the rest of the team is gone. So yeah, that's my analysis of this team. I hope I am wrong. I really hope that I am wrong, and I hope that you prove me wrong. But I think that this is the worst team post-draft. Next up, we have the Houston Gallades and Shade, another coach that is Season 1 veteran and that was really close to not coming back for this season, but I am so glad he did. He has Kartana, Infernape, Ribombee, Roserade, Hitmontop, Claydol, Megalatias, Mimikyu, Rotom-Wash, Umbreon, Terrakion, and Lapras. I'm really nice. This team looks really good. Having Kartana, Infernape, Megalatias, Mimikyu, and Terrakion on the same team is fantastic. That's really good drafting. Also having the Wish support in Umbreon for this team is perfection. It's really good. The only thing that I can see that might be a bit of a problem is the dual grass type in Kartana and Roserade, but they have not the same weaknesses, and both weaknesses are more or less negated by Claydol. Claydol? Rotom-Wash. And Umbreon for that matter. And the synergy between Mimikyu, Rotom-Wash and Umbreon is perfection in my opinion. You might be a bit rock weak due to not having the best way to get rid of rocks outside of Hitmontop and Claydol. Even if Rotom-Wash gets defog now, I'm pretty sure at least. Yeah, it doesn't want to run defog that often. It rather wants to run Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, Toxic, Pain Split, something along those lines. Sigma Topic Cradle will be forced to run Rapid Spin a lot, and Latias just rather wants to be offensive when it is a Mega than defensive and relying on recoveries rather than leftovers and recoveries. I mean, you have some possibilities to work around this, but I'm not a fan of the ways you have to get rid of hazards. You do have webs on Ribombi and Katana, and the Fire Knife on the webs is scary as hell. This also allows for Choicepex Roserade to put in some enormous work versus any team you face. Tracking on the webs is also very, very scary to face. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that, more or less. It's an interesting team. I really like it, just looking at it. I hope it can do well, but I see some problems with ice moves overall that can be too hard for you to deal with in the long run. Fighting is another weakness that we can see, but you should be able to deal with fighting a bit better than you can deal with ice moves, so you should be fine. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about this team, because I want to do this a bit faster. Because I know that I'm taking a lot of time just talking, and I shouldn't do that too much. I think this is actually a bit faster than last time, so we're good in that regard at least. Last team of this conference is the Salem Sylvians with returning coach, Season 1 veteran SV. And SV, pretty sure you changed your team naming for the season, become the Salem Sylvians. And this is a really, really interesting team that can be fantastic if you use it correctly. There's only one big problem with this team, but first let's go over it. Salamence, Arcanine, Araquanid, Shamin, Rhydon, Glaceon, Mega Gardevoir, Fortress, Mismagius, Thundurus, Therian, Bisharp, and Muck. You have one big problem on this team, well, two big problems really on this team. First off, the speed tiers. Base 100, base 95, 100, 100, you have 105, you have 101. That's your speed tier, so you have nothing faster than 105. You will have a big problem with Starfers being forced to run a lot of them on Scarfed. And besides that, this is the most rock-weak team I think ever gotten drafted, with Salamence being weak to rocks, Arcanine being weak to rocks, Araquanid being weak to rocks, Glaceon being weak to rocks, and Thundurus being weak to rocks. That's 5 of your 12 months that are weak to rocks. And you have one way to get rid of it really, with Fortress. Because Thundurus doesn't want to run Defog, Salamence doesn't want to run Defog, so all you have left is a Rapid Spinner, and you have tons of rock weaknesses, which is not good. But other than that, this is a very good team. I feel like they support each other very, very well. You just need to get rid of the rocks as fast as possible each game, and make sure that it can't go up or stay up for a very long period of times. If they do that, you will lose a lot of games because of your rock weakness team. And you have a good offensive core with Salamence, Mega Gardevoir, Thundurus, Mismagius, Bisharp, and you have a very good defensive core with Arcanine, Araquanid, Shamin, and Rhydon. Monsters like Glaceon, Bisharp, and Muck I'm no fan of. I've never been a fan of Bisharp. Muck is not the best mon to have in my opinion, and Glaceon is just the same as Muck. It feels like a waste, two waste picks in my opinion, with Glaceon and Muck, and I think you could have done better. But at the same time, overall this team is very, very good, and it has a lot of potential. You just need to make sure that you can fulfill the potential and play and prep as well as we know you can. And if you do that, this team can be very, very scary to face for the rest of the season. But you just have to look out for that rock weakness. I think you're well aware of that, and I hope you can patch it up somehow. With that said, this is our last team, and I'm gonna stop it there. We have now gone through all 12 teams in the summer conference, and I want you to pick up your two best teams, the best team from the last video and the best team from this video. In my opinion, the best teams is I completely forgot it now. This is my favorite team in this portion of the draft, and then you have Dave's team in the previous video. Those are the two best teams in the respective videos. And that's my picks. Those are my picks for finishing top 2 in this conference. But with that said, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.